Hello. I just want to go over a quick memory system that I believe would be helpful to anybody that doesn't know it. So here we go. So what you do for this is good for memorizing like grocery lists. You can use it for anything. You got to learn to use your creative imagination and turn things into pictures. You can do anything with your mind. You can do anything you see on television. You can do greater things in your mind. So what you want to do with numbers is turn them into pictures. And it's kind of like the Hebrew alphabet. I don't know Hebrew, but I do know that they don't have a separate system for numbers and letters. And on a side note, as far as I've heard this theory, that the Hebrew was likely the original language of man. People aren't smarter now than they were in the beginning. We just have more knowledge. Even in like Paul and Jesus' day, there weren't really books everywhere like there is now. People learn things by memory. And at that time, people would memorize, the Jews would, the entire Old Testament. And that's almost unheard of today that people do that. There are exceptions. But the people that do things like that, generally they use memory systems and techniques. Somebody that can just naturally do that, it's 1 in 100 million people, and that they just remember everything they see. That's extremely rare. So anyway, let me get closer here. And I just want to, I don't like to take credit for things that I haven't come up with. So Harry Lorraine is one of the main guys for memory systems. There's also a man named Tony Buzan. I prefer Harry Lorraine. Tony Buzan kind of encourages more sexual imagery, which works with people because, we tend to remember that and violence. I kind of think you ought to try to keep your mind more pure as a Christian. So Harry Lorraine, Ageless Memory has another one, a couple of others. So, order that on Amazon if you're interested in learning more memory systems. There's a whole bunch in here for remembering all types of things. So I'm going to have to learn how to set up a camera here. This little iPhone isn't very useful. So, number one, you got a candle. Think of the number one and visualize that being a candle. Okay. Number two, you got a snake. See how that looks like a snake? You got if you don't like snakes, think of something else like a rope, or you use your imagination. Number three is a heart. See how here's the three. Move this here, so you just think of hearts. Number four is a nose. You can see how that looks like a nose. Like here's the face over here. Here's the nose. 5 is a hook. See how that could be a hook, like for Captain Hook. And then over here you got cherry. So you see how that looks like a cherry. You got the stem at the top. 7's a boomerang. 8, think of an hourglass. Number 9 is a balloon. You got the string hanging off. 10, think of a baseball and a bat. And then that's 10 that you can use for just like a grocery list or different things. And then you could go for 11 through 20, you just visualize fire for each one of these. Lots of fire. And then 21 through 30 would be ice. And then you just, you could do lasers. You could do, cotton candy or something. You can just keep on going. Now, there are better systems than this, but this is good to get you in practice for what they call a peg system, where you're going to have 1 through 100, and you're going to associate a picture with that. And you get to the point to where you can associate as soon as you see that number, there's no thinking involved. You automatically see that picture. When you see that picture, that number, you make them related. And, use the word sanctify. I sanctify that for Bible information. I don't use it for real estate. I don't use it for investing. I don't use it for anything else. That is for the Bible. I'm going to put that first before I put it into worldly things. But anyway, if you want to use this, go to the number 20 with this system. You just use a rhyme. So 1 is a gun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree, 4 is a door, 5 is a hive. You see how it goes. So, you associate pictures with numbers. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're going to go grocery shopping. So you got, coffee, bananas, towels, and milk. So first, we'll say it's going to be coffee. You see a can of Folgers with candles sticking out of the top of it. And the second's going to be bananas, so you see bananas and you go to grab it and there's a bunch of snakes on it. 3 is going to be towels, so it's like you just picture a big towel with hearts on it, And number 4, let's say it was going to be milk. So you would think somebody drinks some milk and they hear a joke or something and milk comes out of their nose. So, number 1 was a candle. So, with number 2 was a snake, 3 is a heart, 4 is a nose. So, remember number 4 was milk because it squirts out of the nose. And then when you think of a snake, a heart, what was it? It was towels. Number 2 is a snake. And I got that picture that pops in my mind of the bananas. Number 1 was a candle, and that was Folgers coffee. Okay, just giving an example. And you can keep reusing it over and over again. It's disposable. You can it's like a computer. You can delete the memory and start a new page. So if you wanted to, if you were going to memorize, you could use this to memorize the books of the Bible and what order they're in. So we'll just say for the New Testament, okay? So the first book, you think of a candle. I use Matthew McConaughey. It's just a person that comes to mind. So Matthew McConaughey, I think of Matthew in the Bible. And so you think of Matthew McConaughey holding a candle. So it's number 1, holding 2 candles. Number 2 is going to be Mark. So I think of Mark Zuckerberg, that he's crawling with snakes, or he's got a big boa constrictor around his neck. Number 3 is going to be Luke. So think of a guy named Luke that you can think of, and he's bringing a box of candies to his girlfriend, or bringing them to you if you're a woman, like Luke whoever. There's a lot of Lukes that are famous. So use that. 4 is John. So I think of Johnny Cash when I think of the book of John. So I think that's an easy one. You think of Johnny Cash with a giant nose. Just over-exaggerated, unreal. Number 5 is going to be a hook. So I think the book of Acts is an axe. So I see Captain Hook. He's either fishing or pulls up an axe, AX. Use that for the book of Acts. Number 6 is a chariot. So 6 is the book of Romans. So I see a Roman soldier that is picking cherries. He's stuffing cherries in his mouth off of a cherry tree. Number 7 is a boomerang. So that's 1 Corinthians. So when I think of Corinthian, you got 1st and 2nd Corinthians, the only thing I think of is what they call Corinthian glass or Corinthian plates. So for 7, somebody throws a boomerang and you got this shop with a bunch of Corinthian glass in it. It goes in and shatters all that. And you make these pictures over-exaggerated. It's very powerful. It's just like commercials. Companies spend billions of dollars every year on commercials, 30-second commercials, little jingles. The more you can, and you'll remember those jingles and those commercials from when you were a kid. All you got here is just a little bit. So I think it's a good idea to take that and use it to your own advantage, instead of letting the television and music industry infiltrate your brain. you know, be aware that that is happening. And they don't spend billions of dollars every year because it doesn't work. So you take it and use it for yourself. So where are we at? Number 8 is an hourglass. So that's 2 Corinthians. So I think of a Corinthian plate and they're holding an hourglass on the top of it. Whoever you want to visualize holding that. That's how I would do it. Number 9 is a balloon. So Galatians. So Galatians I associate with like gelatin, like Jello. It's the only thing that's what I thought of when I first started doing this, gelatin. So you think of one of these like balloon races, or you picture a plate of Jello and a balloon's lifting it up, or it's like a balloon made out of Jello. Okay. 10 is a baseball bat, baseball and bat. So you think of Ephesians. Well, Ephesians, I associate that with Epicureans. That's the only thing that kind of rhymes with Ephesians. So Epicureans are like people that are really refined. You know, they go buy a $200 meal. They drink the finest wine. They got wine and cheese. So I picture somebody coming in with a baseball bat and like a baseball, and they start playing baseball and they start smashing the place up. You know, go over the top with it. That's how you remember number 10. So I go back to the number 5. Well, what's the number 5? That's a hook. So that's Captain Hook reaching down, grabbing an axe out of the water. It's the book of Acts. So you're like, Wayne, how do you get to you got 27 books in the New Testament. Well, you can go one of 2 paths on this. You can add fire to 1 through 10 again. So you got 11 through 20. And just add fire. And then make up your own creations for what those books are called. And then you could add ice to the last 7. Or you could come over here if you had the 20 system. So in book 11, that's going to be Philippians. I use Phil Collins for the book of Philippians, you know, the drummer. So I think of Phil Collins. Well, he's went off the deep end, and he's shooting a place up. You know, he's mad because his musicians didn't keep time good or something. So he pulls a gun out, starts shooting it in the air. And then you would have books 1 through 20 just with this system, and then just add fire to the 1 through 20. It's whatever system you want to pick. So book 21 would be 1 Peter. So, you know, you think of somebody with the name Peter, you know. Peter Gabriel, a musician from the 80s. So you think of him, something with a candle, but go over the top with it, especially since fire and candle, you could kind of confuse those. And most of the time you're not going to run into anything like that. So you just figure out a way to overcome these things. Because the way your brain works isn't exactly how my brain works. It's like people are very alike in a lot of ways, yet we're all so different. It's amazing that people communicate it all to me. So, I'll value it. So I keep saying so. I got to quit doing that. And I got to get a better camera. This isn't working. It's working, but barely. I need to learn how to take good videos. Okay. I think that was about all I was going to cover. Just wanted to say this is a good practice to getting to bigger and better systems. You know, they got a peg system. You should learn 1 to 100. It's different than this. You could go to 1 to 100 with this, but there's better ways to do this for trying to memorize, get serious about memorization. Let's see. Yeah. I think we'll stop there. Hope you have a good day. I'd appreciate any input if you want to tell me if this was helpful, how I could improve these videos. So, all right. Have a good day.